was in Athens, 1997. I was walking down a long tunnel, heading towards the metro station in the center of Athens. And for some reason I stopped. I can't remember why. The moment I stopped, I looked over and I saw somebody approaching me. It was somebody who I'd seen a few times before. Usually he would be lying on a bench somewhere. He was a homeless man. Maybe about 5 foot tall. Long, scraggly hair, this huge bushy beard. Wearing the most tattered clothes you've ever seen. And the dirt on his face and his hands made it really difficult to tell when was the last time he had a bath. But the smell confirmed it must have been a very long time ago. So as this man approached me, he shuffled rather than walked. And when he reached me, he stretched out his hand and grunted. If you've ever met a person like this, you will know you really do not want to engage with someone like this. So in my best possible English, I said to the man, "I'm sorry, sir, I don't speak Greek." As if is somehow Greek. Suddenly a smile appeared from behind his beard and some broken teeth, and his eyes opened up wide, and he looked at me and said, "Oh, you're American! Me too!" So now I have to talk to him. The next hour changed my life. This man, this troll-like creature, was anything but that. This man had once upon a time been a professor of philosophy at a prestigious American university. He had come to Greece to study philosophy from some of the greatest minds in philosophy, where in the cradle of philosophy. But the more he studied, the more he contemplated the way of the world and the way humanity is moving, he became so disillusioned that he decided he didn't want any part of it anymore. He fell off the grid and was living in the subway station ever since. This man, who countless people have passed every single day, thousands and thousands of people, was a wealth of knowledge, had the most interesting stories, and one of the kindest hearts in anybody I've ever met. We perceive people differently when we perceive them to have value. That man, all those years ago, allowed me to understand that there's no such thing as a faceless person. Behind every face is a story. Behind every face is a history. Every face. Behind every face are thoughts, feelings, emotions, a family that cares about them, dreams, aspirations, heartaches, happiness, a presence, a soul. According to scientists, the chances of us being alive on this earth today, please bear with me now, there's a lot of numbers coming up, is 1 in 400 quadrillion. I'll say it again. The chances of us being alive on this earth today is 1 in 400 quadrillion. That's a 1 with 45,000 zeros behind it. I couldn't even make a slide to show you how much that is. Did you ever feel you weren't special? Did you ever feel you weren't unique? We are more amazing and more miraculous than our finite brains could ever imagine. Simply that we are here alive on this earth and breathing and our hearts are beating, we are each and every one of us a miracle. Can we just celebrate the fact that we're a miracle right now? Just give yourselves a round of applause. Thank you. And yet, how many people do we pass every single day on the street, in the bus, the auntie that cleans the table at the coffee shop, the server, the barista that was mentioned earlier that serves you coffee, and we don't give them a second thought. They are merely blurs that pass into our existence for a few seconds and then they're gone. And sometimes they even annoy us by coming into our space. It is my hope that when we start to perceive people to have value, that we will start treating each other a little bit better. Now, the good news is that it's simply a choice. We choose what has value in our lives. We choose what's important. And it's how we perceive something that will determine whether it has value or not. And if it has value and it's important to us, we start caring about it. Now, I was the recipient of such a gesture about 1.5 years ago. I was invited to go to a really big convention that in my industry, in the speaking industry, and I was new, so I didn't know anybody there, except for the person that invited me, but he was really busy at the time. I had gone outside to make a phone call, and when I was coming in, I was coming up the escalator, and this man was coming down the opposite end of that. And as he passed by me, he looked at me, and he pointed his finger, and he said, "I don't know you. Wait there." And he's quite a big fella, so I was a bit intimidated, and I waited at the top of the escalator. He went all the way down and came all the way back up again. And as soon as he came to me, he stuck out his hand and said, "How you doing? My name's Rob. What's your name?" We spoke for about 5 minutes. And at the end of the conversation, he said, "I am really, really sorry. I'm in such a big hurry, but I really enjoyed this conversation. We will speak again." We spoke again about 6 months after that. He remembered me. And since then, he's become one of my closest friends, a trusted mentor, an advisor, and one of the nicest people I've ever met. He also happens to be our absolutely awesome MC for tonight, Mr. Rob Salisbury. Please give him a round of applause. That one gesture where he was nice to me changed my life. I didn't know if I wanted to be a speaker until I met that man. We heard some speakers earlier today. Vicky was talking about good enough fighters. I had good enough fighters. And through interactions with people who didn't know me but took the effort just to say hello, I'm here today. So I'm forever grateful for that. And all he did was being nice to me. And being nice is a choice. So, how do we be nice? First, notice. Notice people. Let them know that you notice them. Nora spoke earlier about a smile. I once had the amazing privilege of taking a walk with the #1 guru in the world for service, Mr. Ron Kaufman. And if you've ever spent any time with Ron Kaufman, you will notice that he greets everybody he meets. It takes a long time to get anywhere. He greets everybody he meets on the street. He doesn't stop and introduce himself. He just, good morning, good afternoon, good morning. People sometimes look at him funny because they're not used to it. But you'll never know what that gesture might mean to somebody. Somebody who's feeling low and down, somebody just say good morning, they know I'm alive. That could change somebody's life. If they're a service person, usually they have a name badge. Call them by their name. Immediately it creates a sense of familiarity, of friendship, of friendliness. Next, introduce yourself. Nothing builds connection faster than introducing somebody and telling them your name. And if it worked for the most sophisticated, suave, charismatic person we have all ever seen in our lives, who always introduced himself, the name's Bond. James Bond, there we go. We remember that, we remember a name. I'm sure it can work for us. Be curious. Being curious about somebody shows interest. There's always something in somebody else that you can be curious about and you can ask them about. But be genuine, be sincere. I really like this that you're wearing. Wow, I've never seen that phone. If I had to ask you about your favorite hobby, I'm sure you could talk to me for quite a while, maybe at least an hour. It's something your knowledge is about. It's something that you feel passionate about. And you'll feel great sharing that knowledge and that interest and that passion you have with somebody else. Ask any speaker to talk to you about public speaking. Confirm 3-hour conversation. And after that, you'll feel good about it. I had a wonderful conversation with that person, and they probably didn't say a word. You spoke the whole time. Last but not least, empower. Always leave somebody with a feeling that at that moment when they were engaging with you, they were important to you. It's as simple as, if it's a server, like I said previously, thank them for the wonderful service they gave you. If it's a conversation you had with somebody, you know what, I really enjoyed this. I'd love to meet up with you again sometime. Or if you bump into each other, I'll be really happy. That acknowledgement and that significance is priceless. It's priceless. Everybody has value. All those years ago in that subway station when I left that old man, I was going to the train, and we know trains are usually very crowded. From that day, I could not look at another face and not think, what is their story? Who are they really? Besides the face that I can see. Deep down, what are their hurts? What are their dreams? What are their wants? What are their interests? Who cares about them? Who do they care for? Everybody has value. And everybody deserves and should be nice to each other. It's a choice. Thank you very much.